Audio Jungle.
Senator representing the great people of Cross River South. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, thank you for giving me the opportunity and the honor to lead the debate on the general principles of a bill for the establishment of the South-South Development Commission. This bill is one that speaks to the heart of the developmental aspirations of the South-South region, and the bill is co-sponsored by all other 17 senators from the South-South region. This proposed commission will be charged with the responsibility to receive and manage funds that will be channeled towards addressing the critical issues facing the South-South, a body specifically designed to cater to the peculiar needs, challenges, and aspirations of the states within the South-South geopolitical zone, comprising Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, and River States. Some of the needs include resolving infrastructural deficits that have plagued our region for decades, hindering development and economic growth, combating militancy and communal crises which have not only destabilized local economies, but also tarnished the image of our region nationally and internationally, addressing ecological and environmental degradation caused by decades of oil exploration, leaving our lands desolate, our waters polluted, and our people suffering from adverse health effects, promoting economic integration and creating a blueprint for sustainable development across the region. This is a bill that goes beyond mere administration. It is a lifeline for the millions of people in the South-South who, despite living in one of the most resource-rich regions of our nation, continue to face persistent underdevelopment, poverty, and environmental disasters. Now, some may ask, isn't the Niger Delta Development Commission already fulfilling these functions? Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, I will provide some explanations for why the proposed South-South Development Commission is distinct and necessary. The NDDC is a multi-regional body that includes states such as Abia and Imo from the Southeast region, as well as Ondo states from the Southwest region. However, both of these regions now have their own dedicated development commissions, the Southeast Development Commission, which includes Abia and Imo, and the Southwest Development Commission, which includes Ondo State. This arrangement has diluted the focus and resources of the NDDC, making it less effective in addressing the peculiar challenges of the South-South. The South-South requires a commission that is exclusively dedicated to our region, that understands our unique issues and can craft tailored solutions for them, just like the other 5 geopolitical regions. Another distinction lies in the way funds are allocated. The Niger Delta Development Commission allocates resources to member states based on the quantum of oil production in each state. While oil production remains crucial, it has led to unequal development where states with higher oil output rightly receive a disproportionate share of resources, leaving others behind. Another case in point as to the necessity of the South-South Development Commission is the Hydroelectric Power Producing Areas Development Commission, HYPADEC, which covers the north-central states as well as Gombe, Kebbi, and Kaduna. This is an agency established by law to address the socio-economic and environmental challenges faced by communities affected by the hydroelectric power project. It is similar in structure and intent to the Niger Delta Development Commission and other Nigerian development commissions. But this very house has passed the North Central Development Commission, the Northwest Development Commission, and the Northeast Development Commission. Distinguished colleagues, the South-South Development Commission will be funded on the principle of equality among the member states, ensuring that every state, whether a top oil producer or not, receives its fair share of resources for development. This new funding structure will focus on regional development, not just oil revenue, and will include other streams of funding such as federal allocations, international grants, and developmental partnership. While the NDDC addresses the Niger Delta oil producing region in a broad sense, the South-South Development Commission will hone in on the specific developmental, economic, and ecological challenges facing the South-South. This tailored focus will enhance the ability of the Commission to deliver timely and effective solutions. In conclusion, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, it is clear that the current development apparatus for the South-South is insufficient to meet the needs of our people. The creation of the South-South Development Commission will provide a dedicated, well-funded body that is uniquely positioned to drive equitable and sustainable development, resolve ecological problems, and address the root cause of conflict in our region. I therefore urge you, most distinguished colleagues, to lend your support to this bill and give the people of the South-South the hope and development that they deserve. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Senator Zam. Support wholeheartedly the bill canvassing the establishment of South-South Development Commission. The arguments advanced by the mover of this motion are clearly unimpeachable. He has mentioned the fact that each of the 6 geopolitical zones in this country seemingly would have their own development commission. So excluding the South-South might appear to be a sort of injustice. There goes a saying that what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. Therefore, I would support that the South-South geopolitical zone should equally have their own development commission like the 5 other geopolitical zones of this country. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I've had the privilege of interacting with many of my friends from the South-South region of this country, and I can attest to the fact that even 1 million development commissions will not be enough to attend to the quantum of environmental challenges that this region is bedeviled with. I therefore support this motion, and I call on my colleagues to do same so that we can balance the developmental equation of this country. Thank you, Mr. Senate President.
Respected colleagues, Henry Siraki Dixon, Bayelsa West. Mr. President, firstly, let me appreciate, on behalf of all of us senators from the South-South part of our country, for the lead sponsor, our colleague, Senator Ekpeyong, who has led the debate on a bill that is co-sponsored and fully supported by all the senators from the South-South zone. And it goes without saying that that includes the Senate President of the Federal Republic. My dear colleagues, I think that a very compelling case has been made this morning. I am only rising up to explain further 2 issues. Firstly, that the NDDC that some people may say is already there is not a geopolitical commission created. It was created to manage the issues of development and crisis emanating from oil-producing communities. And that is why the membership and those who benefit from it cut across the Southwest, for example, Ondo in the Southwest, and in the Southeast. And also, anytime oil is found in any substantial quantity, a case can be made for inclusion. The point I'm making is that it is a resource-based commission, because the UMPADEC was scrapped and the NDDC was now put in place to manage the issues arising from oil-producing communities and states. And it was not a geopolitical body created for the South-South, no. That's why the membership clearly includes Ondo in the Southwest, and rightly so. It includes Imo and Abia in the Southeast. But now, having established that, as the lead debater has said, you also have the example of HYPADEC in the North Central. States that are contributing resources, the water bodies that are converted to energy, are a major source of resource. And this country thought it appropriate to establish a body. But that body was resource-based. It doesn't include states that don't have those water bodies and all those entities. So now the country has moved further, where at this point now, Mr. President and my dear colleagues, we are now creating not resource-based centers of development and entities, but development-based entities according to geopolitical zones. And that is why the case is now being made for the consideration of this August Assembly. And I will now, on behalf of all the senators, appeal to all members that we should give this a favorable consideration. As has been rightly said, what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. So that at any time the country is appropriating to development commissions, geopolitical-based development commissions, then it will be general. I'm sure if there's any geopolitical zone that doesn't have a bill yet for establishment of a geopolitically based commission, when it comes, I believe all of us will be ready to support it on the basis of equity and parity. So it's on this note, I invite all of us to give this bill a favorable hearing. I so move.
Well, distinguished fantastic explanation that the NDDC was a resource-based commission. And if you produce 1%, you get only 1%. If you produce 5%, you get 5%. And so there is a lot of disparity there because of the fact that the states that make up the NDDC do not produce the same quantum of oil.
As a matter of fact, it's so bad, sir, for right now, Cross River State get anything from NDDC when the Supreme Court gave the judgment as to ownership of certain oil wells, or they will be getting very little. So there's a lot of disparity, which will be addressed if we have this geopolitically based development commission.
I agree with you. So we look at it now, we delete those things immediately. If they are getting anything, Senator Kawu, did you, Senator Kawu? You have heard what he said, that the NDDC was a resource-based development commission, just like the water, the other one he mentioned, and for us to have geopolitical development, that is important to also include the South-South, and particularly in the South-South, Cross River said he's not really getting anything from the NDDC, and the other two regions are also involved. The Southwest is there, producing oil from Ondo. Imo State is there, the Abia State, and all that. So this geopolitical zonal developmental agency is also important for the South-South region, whatever it is, because even the problems they have cannot be solved by even 10 commissions. So what is your opinion? Are you in support?
All right, I'm in support. Not now when I supported Northwest Development Commission, and I supported Southeast Development Commission, and I supported Southwest. And initially, when I am Senior Special Assistant to Mr. President on National Assembly came up with the idea of Northeast Development Commission because of the challenge of Boko Haram they face. Now it means each and every zone will have its own commission to tailor the development to the grassroots. I am 100% in support of South-South to have its own. Even though they have a Niger Delta Development Commission, which is not always having Niger Delta alone, it serves some part of Southeast and Southwest, like Ondo and Abia and Imo. I think it is a fantastic idea. We need to do a lot. We need to find a situation where we will take development to the grassroots to challenge, to face our current challenges. I am in support of it, and it is very fantastic idea. And the essence of having a Senate, senators of the Federal Republic, is to do justice to Nigeria. That is the reason where it is based on equality, not because of our presentation. What we are doing, we must consider Nigeria as our constituency. Nigeria is my constituency, and I supported the idea. Thank you.
This is Dr. Samaila Wakaila. To be honest, I like the explanation of distinguished Senator Dixon. And before, I thought having NDDC is enough. But now I understand the difference. However, he convinced me more by saying any state can join the NDDC
Yes.
at a future date.
Immediately, they
If oil
produce
is
oil.
if oil is discovered
It's
in large
discovered.
quantity.
Exactly.
And I think it is time also, if possible, to change the name of NDDC to something that is not regional, to something that is strictly oil
Resource
dependent
based.
or resource based.
Resource based.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I,
Dr. Kyla,
sir,
your mic.
Thank you, Mr. President. In supporting the motion, I think what I wanted to say, I was raising up my hand, Senator Dixon. I've already made justice to things I wanted to say because NDDC is oil-based, but all the other commissions are developmental-based. So there is no way that the Senate or anybody in this Senate will ask South-South not to have South-South Development Commission. I urge my colleagues, because of the nature of South-South, if you go to South-South, you cry. If you go to the part of South-South where this oil is being drilled, these people have no water to drink. They have nowhere to cultivate food to eat. So they should be number one in having the developmental commission, because this commission is developmentally based, not oil based, because there are two different things we are doing. We have the hyperbed in Niger and they're operating, and the other developmental commissions are there. So, Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to support this beautiful bill for the golden eggs, a golden hen that lay the eggs for our nation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Between the NDDC and the South-South Development Commission. So I want to start by following on from what Senator Dixon said about OMPADEC and noting that OMPADEC was to look at the oil and mineral producing areas. NDDC follows on from that, looking at Niger Delta states. And I want to say that if you go to the NDDC Act, the functions and powers of the Commission under Part 2 consistently talk of Niger Delta areas, not Niger Delta states, not South-South states. And so where the resources from NDDC are shared to the Niger Delta areas based on quantum of oil produced, the states administer these resources as functional areas. What is left out, sir, is that there are some states that are members of NDDC that have only one or two local government areas that produce oil. And in the practical interpretation of the NDDC Act, those local governments are the ones to receive the concentration of benefit when NDDC resources are shared to that state. So as you can imagine, the debate for sharing of resources for a state where only two local governments produce oil, the focus of development goes to the oil-producing local governments. And therefore, those other local governments, even though they are part of South-South states, receive little or no benefit from being members of the NDDC. And that, sir, I believe, is a fundamental argument for the need for a South-South Development Commission. Thank you, sir.
Dismissed Senator Akobundu.
Of knowledge, having served in that area. In the army, I recall some years back as a major, I was in charge of projects and monitoring, projects implementation and monitoring in Rivers State. And I came face to face with the huge challenges of development, especially in the infrastructural sector that the region faced and still faces. One key aspect of it is the cost of construction. It is very, very expensive to construct roads and other projects. And based on the explanations also captured in the bill, there are some states that do not benefit from what comes from NDDC. So based on this fact, I stand wholeheartedly to support this bill that will deepen development and spread development equitably. I so support, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
I think we don't need to debate further because we already have a template of how other bills have come into this chamber and has received the overwhelming support because, like Senator Kawu said, this is an opportunity to further enhance and collaborate with development agencies so as to take development to the grassroots. On the explanation detailed to us now by Senator Dixon, I really appreciate that effort because for some of us, we were beginning to think, why is South-South going to have two different agencies or commissions that will be saddled with giving developments to just one region? Well, I'm happy that that explanation has further enlightened and broadened the minds of some of us here. So on that note, I want to support wholeheartedly this bill. And on a lighter note, I hope you will not remove Cross River from Niger Delta, because if you do so, some of us will go to court that you should return their oil blocks back to them. Akwa Ibom should return their oil blocks.
Out of order with this last statement. You are hereby ruled out of order. No comment from me. Shobuba, distinguished. You have something to add?
Yeah, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Eid by Senator Seriaki Dixon and Kau Sumaila. I have therefore concur. I have supported this motion and this bill, and I therefore call on my distinguished colleague to support the passage of this bill. Thank you.
Beginning. But when I look at the fact that the NDDC has 3 regions, it has, in fact, 3 geopolitical zones. It has the Southeast geopolitical zone, it has the Southwest geopolitical zone, it has the South-South geopolitical zone. In the Southeast geopolitical zone, you actually have 2 out of the 5 states within the NDDC. And then it is also resource-based and it also local government-based. It goes to the areas that actually produce oil. So you may have like 28 local governments and only 2. Like for instance, in Southwest, in Ondo, it's mostly like the local governments within the Ilaje area. Ilaje and and the same thing happens even in Akwa Ibom. You go there, you see the local governments of Eastern Obolo and Ibron and maybe Eket area. The others are not part of it. Even Uyo is not part of it. You know, so when I looked at the fact that, yes, with the judgment of the International Court of Justice about Cross River said losing Bakassi, the oil wells were within Bakassi. So that area has gone to Cameroon. So it is not that Akwa Ibom took oil wells, no. It is that the International Court of Justice, where the oil wells were located, that area was ceded by Nigeria to Cameroon, and automatically Cross River State became hemmed in, and therefore no longer a littoral state, and has no access to the sea, and therefore cannot own the oil wells in the sea. So there's been a lot of propaganda, and one of the things we need to do is not just to educate senators, is to educate Nigerians, so that people would stand up and say, oh, they took their oil well. It's like a child that finishes writing WAEG, and when the result comes out, you ask, what did you score? You say, they gave me. They wouldn't say, I scored. So this one, they would not, they would say, they took. They would not say, the judgment eliminated my state from being a literal state. And that is the same confusion that Senator Salim Mustafa has. So I'm in sympathy with your position because it's based on ignorance. So, distinguished Senator Karimi, you may wish to add your voice.
Thank you, Mr. Karimi Sunday Steve. I represent the people of Kogi West. Mr. President, there is this common adage, it's a biblical adage, that those who walk on the altar must also eat from the altar. South people, they walk on the altar and they must be fed from the altar. Yes, Niger Delta Development Commission, Kogi State is an oil-producing state. And as soon as possible, Kogi State will also be part of Niger. You don't know? Kogi State.
In view of the fact that you are not opposing you are not, may we tell the chairman of the Senate Committee on Senate Services to service South also. And then and leave the issue of Kogi State for a further discussion. But if you wish to, if you want to continue with Kogi, then continue. Let's hear from you.
Okay, sir.
It will soon be discussed, but let us discuss South.
Okay. So I'm fully in support of this
Thank you.
bill. South deserve more development. And I believe by passing this bill, it will bring development into areas that are not benefiting from the Niger Delta Development Commission in the South.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I support this bill because I think what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. Yes, the Niger Delta area has the NDDC. And the NDDC, of course, we know, it's a commission that was created to try to mitigate the problems being faced by the oil-producing areas. Of course, we know the environmental degradation, happening due to oil exploitation in these areas. So it was primarily created to take care of those issues, those challenges, environmental challenges, and so on and so forth. And it's not restricted to Niger Delta alone. It is something that is spread to states in the southeast and so on and so forth. Therefore, since we have created commissions for other zones, like my zone has gotten one, there's nothing wrong, and I support the idea that the commission to take care of the South in terms of helping to further develop the zone should be created. That's okay. That said, I will also want the name. Well, thereafter, of course, when the commission has been created, then we have to look at the NDC again, maybe change the name to Oil Area Producing Commission, so that will include states like Gombe and Bauchi that are now oil producing. And of course, Kogi, as said by Senator Karimi, can now be brought on board. So the name, Ogun State, and Lagos State, I've said it. I said Gombe and Bauchi State. I said it first. So the name and the art should be changed, right, to now include other oil-producing areas that are not in the present NDDC Act. So I support this. But then, as I said, there should be a revisit to the NDDC Act so as to, bring in other states, as I said earlier, for purpose of emphasis, so that the Commission would now be strengthened to take care of the states that are oil producing so as to help them mitigate the challenges
the problems they are facing, environmental problems that they currently they are facing due to oil exploitation activities going on in those areas. I so support, Mr. President.
Yes, in my mind that states that will eventually produce oil in commercial quantities should be allowed to join the NDDC. There is no doubt about that because it's resource-based. And I think it is the same parliament that will tinker with it when the adequate data is given to us. And again, the NDDC, as you see, was a creation of necessity because of over 60 years of oil exploration and exploitation that have damaged the ecosystem, damaged the soil, damaged even the air that they breathe, and cause a lot of health challenges, including cancer. So any state that is joining the NDDC, I hope that whatever oil is being produced there, they will take measures to avoid the kind of ecological destruction of the ecosystem that happened over 50 years in the Niger Delta, that you may never be able to recover part of the soil as a result of pollution and oil spill. You may never plant anything. You may never be able to get healthy fish. You may not even have oxygen going down for the fishes in the water. And poverty is endemic because the people have to drink from very polluted water. So we'll be happy when that time comes to open up so that other states can join. But the best practices must be enforced by the NNPCL when they discover oil anywhere, so that the tragedy that are befalling the Niger Delta will not befall any state that produces oil and joins the NDDC in future. On that note, I'd like to ask, is there anybody that is opposed to this bill? Is there anybody that is opposed to this bill? Those in support that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate. A bill for an act to establish the South-South Development Commission charged with the responsibility to receive and manage funds from the Federation account allocation and other sources, donations, grants, aids for the integration, development, resolution of infrastructural deficit, militancy, communal crisis, as well as tackle ecological environmental problems, and for related matters 2024. Second reading taken. This bill is now referred to the Committee on Special Duties to revert to the Senate within the next 1 week. Let me thank our distinguished colleagues for the unanimity of support for the South-South Development Commission, and thank particularly distinguished Senator Siriaki Dixon for the differentiation that they have been able to elucidate before the chambers. That is the power of advocacy and the power of research. A lot of people who were not convinced are now convinced of the need to have this geopolitical developmental commission within the South-South region to assist local governments and states that are not even within the NDDC fold in terms of development. So I thank you all, and I pray that we conclude this, especially expeditiously through the Special Duties Committee, and by next week we bring this to conclusion. Leader of the Senate.
Audio Jungle.